Hey, what's up YouTube? Today's video, I'm going to be giving you an introduction to my variant of the aura stacker. I'm still kind of tinkering around with it, but basically I'm going to go over the passive tree, the gear, why I made the choices I did, and what I actually think about the aura stacker because it is quite a different build than before, and I do think that this variant has some merit to be played, and I actually kind of like it. And the only thing that's kind of jarring is the petrified blood. It makes you think you're about to die, and you're not really dying, right? But then you suddenly just die. And it's just a really weird feeling. You have to kind of get used to it. So I'm like trusting Petrified Blood, but then I trust it too much, and then my character just randomly falls over. So let's go over this build and see why I made the choices and why I did what I did. So you might be wondering, why did I exactly choose Low Life Ascendant, right? And one of the big reasons is not that many people have actually tried out this variant. If you go on PoE Ninja, most people are actually playing CI, they're playing Low Life, and if they're doing Petrified Blood, they're definitely doing a champion. Now, this variant also makes it so you don't need to focus on getting 300% aura effectiveness so much. And a big problem with 300% aura effectiveness is once you take the available aura nodes on the tree, like say you go on the tree here, there's not really that many effective points to take. Like these nodes right here are good. These influence nodes are good for aura effectiveness. But after you get all of those, you just run out of aura effectiveness to take. And being a low life petrified blood bill helps us be able to get 300% a lot easier. It also ends up being more damage overall because you save a lot of points relative to the champion. And being Petrified Blood and not getting 300% allows you to take more jewel sockets for more crit multi and other things like that. Biggest problem with this build is you're slightly squishy against chaos damage, and not everyone likes Petrified Blood. A lot of people are actually very scared of Petrified Blood and how it looks like in the life pain. A lot of people are asking, oh, how are you not dead yet? If you go look at the defenses of this build, chaos damage is by far its weakest point right here. But the fact of the matter is, if you can do simulacrums and not die, then the chaos damage is not going to matter enough to get you killed, right? So I don't think that CI has that much merit anymore. And I do think that Petrified Blood is strong enough for all content in the game currently. And a lot of people might be wondering, why aren't you getting 300% aura effectiveness? And a lot of it has to come down to why we actually got 300% aura effectiveness in the past. Now, it used to be very important. We used to use 300% with level 23 purities with 5% max res to reach 90% all res. So that's why it was so important, right? So if you go look at our character in the game, we have 90% max res. And people used to use the purity right here. So say like this purity of lightning gives you 5% additional maximum lightning resistance. Now people would try to get 300% because 5 times 3 is equal to 15. And we usually have 75% base res, and that actually brings us to 90% all res. And we also used to get 300% because there's this Guardian Ascendancy over here that gives you roughly, what's it called? 1% physical damage reduction per aura, and that's per 100% aura effectiveness. So you have 300% aura effectiveness, you would get 3% physical damage reduction per aura. Now, this was a big deal in the past because we didn't really run Determination. But nowadays, we run Determination, we have like 85,000 armor or even 100,000 armor with Grasping Mail. And it's kind of a redundant thing to get that amount of physical damage reduction. And then we can now get extra aura effectiveness for purity on the chest. And we also get 1% maximum resistance with the Militant Faith. So you can see here, this is Purity of Lightning, 22% increased aura effect. And Militant Faith, this node right here, it gives you plus 1% to all maximum resistances if you have 150 devotion, right? So this is a huge benefit for us, and it makes it a big deal that we no longer need 300% so badly. And also, like I said earlier, investing in the aura effectiveness on the tree is really costly. So if you take like this introspection node, all of these nodes will be like very costly, right? So if you actually unspec out of this, you can see here the damage is 84 mil. And yeah, getting these nodes are very costly. And this is at a breakpoint of 90% res, right? So taking these nodes in the long run, each one of these are going to be a jewel socket, and they are probably a huge damage loss overall. So now let's see, why do we actually use Secrets of Suffering, right? So this build is a build that utilizes Secrets of Suffering, and I utilize Secrets of Suffering because of these gloves that I'm using. So these are like a pair of gloves that Dick made and Cadence, but basically this is a mirror tier pair of gloves, and this pair of gloves is nice because it has Essence cast speed, right? And if you look at this profile over here, you can get this cast rate up to 12 with the current setup I have with these gloves. And that's a huge benefit for making the build feel a lot smoother. A lot of champions, when you play the build, you're stuck around like 6 to 7 casts per second if you're lucky. So this will make it feel a lot better to play. But the problem with these gloves is you would usually use Socket of Gems to have 3.5% crit, either from the Essence or from the Helm mod of Shaper or something. So basically, you don't have enough crit anymore because you're using these pair of gloves to try to get more cast speed. Now, we are able to solve this issue by just using Secrets of Suffering. So you can see here, I have Secrets of Suffering slotted in over here, and this makes it so that we can get Brittle really easily. And since we're only one elemental damage type, we can easily get 15 Brittle even in Simulacrum. So that allows us to solve the crit issue. This does waste the Jewel Socket, and we can't shock anymore, which I do think is a huge thing to consider. And I will probably not use Secrets of Suffering later on, and I'll use the Essence Crit Gloves instead because I want to get high PoE Ninja DPS. And I do think that shock is a pretty big thing to consider because I do think you can get up to like 35 to 50% shock effect. And Chill and Freeze is pretty big for defenses, but at a certain DPS, it does not really matter anymore. So once you have like 80 mil DPS, it really doesn't matter anymore if you're chilling or freezing the bosses, right? Because you're instantly going to die. Now, the big problem with using Secrets of Suffering is that these nodes here won't work anymore. So this setup is kind of bricked in that you're using Blanket of Snow and you need to have the enemies be chilled. And Snowstorm, it needs to be chilled too, right? So then you have this one here, Storm Rider. You gain power charge when you shock a chilled enemy. That's not going to work either, right? So your large clusters are going to be very, very scuffed in that you won't be able to use it anymore. So you have to use Voices with the Secrets of Suffering setup. So now we're going to go over the gear overview real fast and see why exactly we're using what we're using. So we are using 2 Nebuluses because we're using multi on the implicits. Now, a lot of people might be wondering, why aren't you actually using, let me turn down the sound a little bit, why aren't you actually using the Nebulous with double damage? And it turns out that multi double damage actually blows 10% double damage out of the water. And this one actually beats 10% double damage too. So if you're trying to find a Nebulous, this is a lot more budget. Ashes of the Star is a no-brainer. It gives you a lot of quality on skill gems. It gives you additional Pierce on Spark or additional projectiles or more projectile speed. And it also gives you a lot of quality on your auras, like Anomalous Defiance Banner. The 30% quality is huge, as it's pretty much like 30% aura effect, right? Or it's not. Oh wait, it is, right? 25% increased armor and evasion rating. So basically, we get a lot of benefits from Ashes of the Star, and it also gives us 20% reservation efficiency. And Call of the Brotherhoods, I'm using one Call of the Brotherhood that has Hatred to save a gem socket. Other one I'm pretty much just using for some resist, as I need fire res really badly with this build. Grasping Mail is an item that you use for the Global Defenses Fracture. This item is pretty expensive, like around 90x or so. And I crafted this with some, I think, Faceted Fossils. I don't really remember. But Faceted Fossils, Corrosive, Pristine, and Dense to block off as many mods as possible. And I just kept doing it until I got lucky and got Chaos Res on it. It took a little bit of currency to craft. These gloves are just some mirror tier 8-link gloves that are crafted with either Essence or you can use Fossils to do it. Both ways work. And then if you don't get Caster mod or Cast Speed or Multi, you would reforge with Caster mods or reforge with Crit, and they're actually pretty much guaranteed. And these boots are your standard affair of Tailwind Effect, Elusive, Cannot Be Chilled, and Elevated Onslaught boots. So overall, very, very traditional setup. Not really anything out of the ordinary. Oh yeah, I forgot the Helm, right? The Helm, you want to get the 15% increased effect non-curse aura skills. And I got 3 additional projectiles on Spark. And this Helm is made through Loathing Essences. And then I got 2 suffixes I liked. And then I did Suffixes Cannot Be Changed. And then I used a Veiled Chaos Orb. I got +2 AoE gems. I blocked off the Hybrid Life. And I bought an Aug Life on TFT. And I got lucky. I hit 79 life. And I crafted on +1 melee gems. The reason you want to craft on +1 melee gems is so that your Smite can be level as high level as possible. So you see this Smite is level 20. And now it is 27. So let's see. Maybe we can get it to 21, right? Live on the video. Guess not. Not everything always works out in life. But basically, that's how you do it. And yeah, Hatred, Call of Brotherhood, save gem sockets, 8-link gloves, Enlighten. Oh yeah, because we put the Spark in the gloves, This allows us to have an Enlighten with a 5 auras on it, which helps out a lot. You get the +1 int gem, so the Enlighten is level 5, right? So very, very important. So now let's go see what the passive tree looks like. So a lot of people might be wondering about the passive tree and what I actually took. If you look at the passive tree here, it's a pretty standard ore stacker affair, right? So nothing really out of the ordinary. So for the Forbidden Flame and Flesh Jewels, I chose Necromancer. You can either choose Raider or Champion too. The reason why I chose Necromancer is the fact, let me get rid of all of this. This is PoE Lurker, by the way. You get all of these nodes because you get Strength and Dex, because we actually do have some Strength and Dex problems. If you see, we need around 155 to run our auras, so that's why we chose Champion and Raider for the pathing. Now, overall, for the jewel sockets, we're using 3 voices right here. I'm using 3 passives that don't really have enough money to buy all 1 passives. So we use these because this gives us jewels that we can get life and triple multi on them. And jewel sockets are always going to be at a premium. I'm only using 3 of these introspection jewels because this is all I need to get 90% res. And when I popped it out, it turns out that these jewels with 50% multi on them nearly, or 45% multi, turns out to be more damage than extra ore effectiveness. And that's actually a pretty big deal overall. So cutting out these jewels actually makes it a lot cheaper to build. If you look at this item over here, this 3 passes, 35% increased effect introspection jewel is literally like 34 exalts, which is actually just a crazy amount, right? So doing this setup actually allows you to be a lot cheaper than running the traditional aura stacker that uses like 6 of those introspection jewels. And we use the voices, the jewel sockets, right? And this allows us to have an extra jewel socket for Secrets of Suffering. And another thing that's kind of cool is the Militant Faith. I did find this combo out from Patrick, or the Champion Petrified Blood Aura Stacker. So the reason we use this combo is that this gives us 1% reduced mana cost per 10 devotion. And it also gives you 1% increased effect of non-curse auras per 10% devotion. So this overall gives us around, I think, like 50% or 25%. I think it gives us 25. Oh, we have 230 devotion, right? So it gives us 23% aura effectiveness, and it gives us 23% reduced mana cost of skills. And that's actually a huge deal. And then this also gives us 1% all max res. So it actually helps us vastly in getting a 90% max res. So if we take this out, you can see we're all the way down to 88%. So pretty important jewel socket overall. And we are using 3 reservation efficiency clusters, and the rare jewels do have life and triple multi. If you're going for a little bit more budget, you can do life and double multi, and that's pretty good. The watcher side is pretty important to get vitality, life gain on hit, and I have cold pen, hatred damage, and then I also have crit chance while on consecrated ground zealotry. And there's actually a little bit of something that's pretty cool that someone actually showed me earlier. So there, you can also theoretically get ailment immunity if you get 4% reduced elemental ailment duration on you per 10 devotion. If you have 250 devotion, you can actually get 100% reduced elemental ailment duration, which is pretty much ailment immunity. So that's definitely something I will try to fit in, and I do think that will be the solution to never dying in Simulacrum, right? So very, very cool tech, and I do want to credit the champions who figured out how OP Militant Faith was. This would have probably been very good in the past too. I do know that we used to use Glorious Vanity, which did give us like 47%, but Militant Faith, super, super strong combo also. But yeah. Overall, I hope that gave you a pretty good overview of the Aura Stacker. It is a lot cheaper than old Aura Stackers in the past. Barrier of entry, if you want to make a really good character, I would say is definitely Mage Blood, and probably around 200x you could do it. Maybe a little bit cheaper if you got really, really budget stuff and you didn't get alternate quality gems. In the end, a lot of the cost is alternate quality gems. If you look at Awakened Spell Echo, it is like, this is like what, like 20 exalts. So if you went for cheaper things like that and didn't get so many alternate quality gems, Phantasmal Smite is another one that's really expensive. You can save a lot of costs. And this build does so much damage already that a lot of the damage is honestly overkill. And I do like this variant a little bit more. It allows you to have more passive points and cluster jewel flexibility. And this means that one day we might be able to play Brands and play Vortex. The Brands is a pretty big thing in that you need to take like points on a tree. So theoretically, we could drop a lot of what's it called? We can drop like this whole cluster jewel setup right here, or whole jewel socket, and then we can invest in the rune binder and runesmith and potentially be able to do penance brand, and then maybe take like some brand clusters. And that's because we have so much flexibility on the tree because we actually have spare points, right? So we actually don't need to use duration. We could drop all of that and put them all into brand clusters, right? Or brand passive points on the tree. So let me know if you want to see some penance brand setup. Build is super well rounded, and you can do invitations and simulacrums, and everything should be relatively easy. And the biggest thing of them all is that there's new Spark MTX, and it looks sick. Just to give you a demonstration of what it looks like, this is like fire ants over here, and we swap out the MTX to the Elder one that's also new. Now it's like black ants, right? And now the OG spiders, right? Is like this. And it's really like pick your own poison. They all look wonderful. Make sure to throw GGG a bone and buy all of them. Maybe also buy the Lightning Skull Aura effect just in case. They're really, really cheap. Only $13, $13 and $9.50, right? But thanks for watching, everyone. Let me know down in the comments below if you want to see Penance Brand Aura Stacker. I do think that it could have some potential with the gloves. But thanks for watching. I hope you find more Mirrors, Exalts, and Mage Bloods than me. And see you next time. Bye.